Yes, here we are. They say if it's nice, you got to do it twice. Thank you for such wonderful reviews based on our last episode.
Yes.
It was our first pre-recorded video and it has been doing well. I think some of our friends and loyal listeners or viewers would have reached out saying, you know, it gives us time to really sit down and enjoy what you guys are doing.
Yes.
And we can only be more appreciative of the feedback. So we are
Happy.
back at it again. No, we're now getting the swing of things. So before we move forward, like and subscribe. Yes, we have officially launched our YouTube page. YouTube channel. What's the YouTube channel?
Woman with a Purpose.
Woman with a I am not the woman with a purpose. That's all her distinction. I'm just the willing participant in this experiment, so to speak.
But I'm always glad having you as my host, so take some pride. I know.
But once again, we are here. This is season 3, Teenage Mutant Children. And this is episode 5.
Can you believe it?
Already 5.
Episode already.
We are there.
Yes.
And there are lots more to be had. But this particular episode, we'll be delving into the 7 habits of effective teenagers or teens. Yep.
So guys, once again, my name is Dezi Lara. I'm the founder of Orchid Blush Artistry Spawn to Go, where beauty is my business. And I'm also the founder of Woman with a Purpose. So before we begin, Happy New Year to each and every one of you guys.
New Year. And I sing this song for us, you know. But I was warned before the show started, alright, to keep my singing vocals to a minimum. So let's get it this time.
So guys, we have made it to this new year. So I hope and I pray that this blessing, you know, that we're about to enter into this new season, this new stage.
Breakthrough season?
Yes, breakthrough 24. Yes. That each and every one of us will get our blessings, you know, and whatever we have set our minds to do, our goals, our vision, that we will all accomplish it in this year.
Fair enough. I know we have goals and visions as well. We are looking at these episodes becoming more expansive, reaching further audiences, and we would need your help to get it done.
Yes.
Our goal is to reach 10,000 views. 10,000 views. We're going for it. We are going for it. 10,000.
Yes.
All right?
And we have confidence that we will get there.
All confidence. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dezi Lara. I'm the co-host. This season, we are, talking about Teenage Mutant Children. As I said last episode, it's not wishing our children become mutants.
That's true.
This season is all geared towards helping parents as well as teens navigate that transition from the child into the teenage age, right? So that we have less mutant creations, and more successful adults being nurtured in society. Yep, so we're going to dive right in. Chrissy?
So yes, guys, the name of the book is A Guide for Teens, The 6 Most Important Decisions You'll Ever Make by Sean Covey.
Fantastic. So all those of you who were with us last week, we went through an amazing challenge. Crystal, you remember that challenge?
Yes, I did. It was challenging from the beginning, but I figured it out.
Well, she had some help, to be fair.
Yes, I did.
All right. At first, we had her go through the numeric puzzle all on her own, and it was a little difficult. It was. She got all the way to 14, if my memory serves me right. All right. Out of 54, that is.
Yeah.
However, when we got around to explaining the pattern, how it was the second time?
It was easy.
It was much easier.
It was much easier. I mean, I could have still done it a bit faster, but I still was taking my time on this.
But the point is that she had the framework to go about making those, finding the numbers actually. And that is exactly what we are hoping to mirror when we would have spoken about paradigm and principles, right? That would have created a framework for our teenagers to make their decisions as they go forward in their teenage years. Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we are all concerned about creating successful adults. Now, we are jumping into this week's episode. The 7 Habits of Effective Teens. Alright, now we're not sure how much we are looking at, getting done. But we don't want to rush through this. Because, we've got to take our time. Because at the end of the day, the author created this as a segue into the 6 most important decisions that, teens will ever make. And I think it's very important to understand that habits shape our characteristics. And when our character has been formed, it really and truly is reflected in the decisions that we make. So that's why these 7 habits are very important. Now, there are 3 things that we need to mention. When I say 3 things, the habits themselves were broken up into 3 different spaces. The first one was private victories. The second one was public victories. And the last one was like the atmosphere that covers everything. It's like the clothing for everything. And the first 3 habits deal specifically with your internal space. The space that people don't see, that happens below the surface. So when you think about a tree, because the author dealt well with creating images for some of these things, he had a tree. For those who get the book, it's on page 20. Nicely, he has a tree and he talks about below the surface, so the roots basically. And these 3 habits work, Chris? What were these 3 habits?
The first one is habit number 1.
Right.
Be proactive. Take responsibility for your life.
Good.
Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind.
Fantastic.
Define your mission and goals in life.
Right.
Habit number 3, put first things first. Prioritize and do the most important things first. And
I think that's where the lesson, part 1 to our exercise would be. I will be dealing with the private victories. Alright, so we're going to dive into those things, ladies and gentlemen, to get a better understanding so that, our children, in essence, would have a better perspective on how to go about doing things. So let's go into habit number 1, which is being proactive. Alright, so it spoke about taking responsibility. The author had a symbol. Once again, he did a tremendous job with creating symbols or images for these particular items, these particular habits. And the image he had for habit number 1 was a remote control. Now, Crystal, this was similar to something we did in the last season when we spoke about the image children have, or what is the greatest gift you can give to your child. You remember that?
So yes, guys, last season we did talk about the greatest gift you can give your child. And anyone can tell what that greatest gift is?
I wonder if they could remember.
I don't think they will remember that.
That's okay.
But the greatest gift you can give your child is that of a healthy self-respect or self-image.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Right? And for me, I believe that not letting anyone dictate who you are in yourself, right? You have to continue to follow your dreams, your purpose, your visions, who you are.
Definitely.
And just continue being yourself and you will get there.
Correct.
Right?
Each in your own time, in your own space kind of thing. Running in your lane.
Yes.
All right? So,
but before we go any further, guys.
Talk to me.
I believe that we should read this little snippet here for them.
No problem. Sure. I'm listening.
As the preceding diagram shows, the habits build up each other. The first 3 habits, numbers 1, 2, and 3, form the root structure.
Right.
These habits deal with getting your own act together.
Remember we spoke about the tree, all right, and the fact that the habits were split up into 3 separate sections. The first one being, the roots, yeah?
Right? So these habits deal with getting your own act together. We call it the private victory.
Yeah.
It's all underground because nobody but you really knows what's going on. Too often we try to change other people before changing ourselves. But as we all know, it doesn't work that way. all change starts at the roots with you.
Just like Michael Jackson sang in his famous song, The Man in the Mirror. All change begins with you. And I think what the author jumped in being proactive is, in this habit, he talked about taking responsibility for your life and being the captain of your own ship. In other words, proactive people carry the remote control to their lives. They choose their channel or mood. Reactive people allow other people or things to control them. And that is why I think the remote control was so important, that image. Because think about giving your remote control to someone else. How they can easily put you on and take you off. They can carry you up loud, or they can bring you down soft.
I think it had a movie like that sometime ago, right? Somebody actually did.
I think Adam Sandler,
yes,
Click, the name of the movie.
Click was the name of that movie, controlling everything, right?
Yes.
And we don't want that, having somebody control your
definitely.
life, your space, everything that you do. So you've got to have that remote for yourself and take control of yourself.
And I think it is a reason why this was number one. This had to be the first thing the author dealt with.
Yes.
It's understanding that you have to have the vision and control of you. And that is all about. It's not to say other person's opinions may not be valid.
That's true.
However, at the end of the day, you should be in control in how you allow that to affect you.
Because I mean, some people's opinion do matter at times, because they give good advice.
Yes.
But then again, you have to take some of that
A pinch of salt, they say?
Yeah, with a pinch of salt.
I had to get a sprinkling.
Take some, take some advice and go with it, right? But at the same time, still use your own advice for yourself.
Yeah, your discretion,
Right.
He jumped in and talked about persons having that victim mentality. Usually when that is the case, that is a clear sign that someone has given their remote control to someone else. Now, we're not saying life is perfect. No one life is. And there are some things that happen beyond our control. However, I learned a very important formula. E plus R equals O. Event plus response, which is your response, equals the outcome. So we may not have control over the event, but we certainly have control over our response. And those things come together to then create the outcome. So be aware, our teenagers, your role and responsibility in your response is of utmost importance. Now we're going to dive into habit number 2. What was the image for habit number 2, Chris?
It's actually a map. Yes, it's a road map, I think.
A road map.
Yeah.
Can anyone tell me what is habit number 2 if the image is a road map? 3, 2. I know you guessed it. Habit number 2 is starting with the...
Begin with the end in mind.
Begin with the end in mind.
Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Because you can't know where you're going, or you won't know when you reach if you don't know where you're going. Think about that roadmap. I mean, you could start off your journey, and wing it. You don't have a plan for your life. You're operating vitae. You listen to this one, that one. You're going so today, you're going so the next way tomorrow. And eventually you will get it.
But you will experience a lot of bumpers, hiccups and potholes and all sorts of things along the way.
You could even get lost and really never find your way.
That's true.
Never really find your way. But you have to start with the end in mind. So ladies and gentlemen, you have a direction that you are working towards.
Yes. As we always say, and as our mentor always say, write it down.
Make it plain.
Make the vision plain.
Yes.
Right, so I want you guys to know that anything that you're doing, as we say, begin with the end in mind. You envision yourself ahead of time and write those goals down. Make that mission statement.
Mission statement. I think we had to do a little class where we help persons create mission statements.
A lot of people need help in those areas.
It's quite simple, and it doesn't have to be, elaborate, or too complex, too complicated. At the end of the day, just stating, some of the things that you would like to be or some of the things that you like to do are well and good enough to help you along your way, to keep you on track. And it could range, but at the end of the day, you set something, and it's okay to change, because we know sometimes you feel one way, but after considered thought, you come to a space you realize, you know what, this may not be exactly what I wanted. It's all right to switch it up.
That's true.
But very important to
Write it down, because I did switch it up.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did, because back then, many of you will not have known, but my dreams and vision was opening my own daycare, right? I did start it off doing it, and trust me, guys, it was so amazing taking care of, those kids.
You did a tremendous job.
Right, so I went on ahead now to further doing the makeup, right? Passed it with flying colors, went on ahead to doing it by numerous institutions. And here I am today, a makeup artist by profession, right? So, right? So not always sticking with one task. You also have to find something that you love doing.
And you're
passionate about. And I love doing the makeup, the manicures, the pedicures, everything within the whole cosmetology.
Yes.
I love doing it. So,
and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Your passion sometimes evolve over time to really reveal what is your truest interest. And that's okay. Very important, however, you won't know that evolution if you don't have a direction first to go towards.
And it's always good to try new things. Right?
Definitely.
Yes, you may fall down, but you always get back up and you just continue, keep going and going and pushing yourself further.
Fantastic, and that's what it is. We all stumble. The most important thing is to get back up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. Now we are entering into the last of the private victories. All right, and this was a very strange thing. You have ever seen an image such like this before?
No.
What was the image the author used to kind of describe or highlight habit number 3?
He actually used a clock, but ladies and gentlemen, it is a 13-hour clock.
No ordinary clock. It was a 13-hour clock. And what comes to mind is that you're feeling like if you have extra time. And how do you go about getting this extra time? What did he say to do? Put in what?
Put first things first.
Yeah. Put in first things first. By prioritizing, it somehow gives us the freedom thereafter. The freedom gives us freedom thereafter. And it always feels as though we have more than enough time. And I think that is a lesson I wish I could have learned in my earlier teenage years.
Me too. Trust me.
Yeah.
It would have been so much different.
But I say we all are learning, and this is what it's all about. And encouraging the younger ones to get into the habits. Yeah. Right? That's why they call it these 7 effective or 7 habits of highly effective teens. There are plenty more. There are lots more. Trust me. However, the author would have identified with these 7 being consistently showing up, with teenagers who have been doing well. And more importantly, I think in this particular section, he brought about the distinction or the difference between urgency and importance. Something that most of us treat as being the same thing, but I recognize clearly that is not the case. And he would have gone about doing that. In fact, Chris, what is the definition he has for importance?
Well, importance, he said that your most important things is stuff that really matters.
Stuff that really matters.
And urgent is things that are in your face and demand your immediate attention.
So urgency deals with that whole idea of immediate, something that requires immediate attention. Importance has to do with things that really matter. And each one are treated differently because we can now separate urgent from not urgent and important from not important. And that is the significant difference the author made in this particular habit. He was able now to create quadrants of urgent and important, not urgent and important, urgent and not important, and not urgent, and not important. Who resides in quadrant number 1, Chris? The people who live in the space of things are being urgent and important. Who resides there?
The procrastinator.
Strange enough, I thought this was a place to be, but I recognize it isn't. It is the home of the procrastinator. When every time, everything that is important always seems to be urgent. You don't want to be in that space. That means that you would have either procrastinated or put off something that you should have done before that was important for a later date that now makes it urgent. Now it happens from time to time. We can't control everything, but if you're constantly, but if you're constantly always doing important things, as an urgent matter, you're washing my, you end up getting a heart attack, right? And we don't want that. We want long life for both you and your children. So that is where you catch yourself studying for exams that are for tomorrow. You're always late for work. Those kinds of stuff. And your hair, you're pulling your hair out of your head. I don't have much, but you don't want to reside in that zone. Now it happens from time to time, but it shouldn't be the usual. Nicely. Now we enter into quadrant number 2, where it is important but not urgent. Who is this? Who is in this space?
The prioritizer.
Oh. These are the people who always seem to be operating with a 13-hour clock. It always seems as they have everything under control. Do you know a person like that? I have a couple, but I'm still working towards being in that space. These are the persons who plan ahead. And these are the persons who get their projects and don't wait until last minute. So usually, project two weeks away, within the first week, it's already done.
Yes, planning the goal setting,
exactly.
Exercise.
They're able to hand the projects in advance. Definitely. They're able to plan to give the projects in advance. The teacher could sit and say, you could fix this, you could think that, and guess what? They have enough time. Unlike some of us, mainly, where, oh gosh, last minute.
That's what I'm saying. We've all been through that, doing things today for tomorrow. And you won't believe it. Some people who do things today for tomorrow go in the exam room and pass that thing with flying colors.
Not saying
but
no.
But it's not the right way.
But the issue with that, I want to say not the issue, but the reality of that is they do it for the moment. What then happens after? It's information that slides off
and disappear. Being like that, and I think some children, people in particular, might get depressed because they constantly do the same thing over.
How much time you can rev yourself up?
You need that space and that quiet time to be relaxed.
Most definitely. So, ladies and gentlemen, younger ones, you want to be a prioritizer. You want to ensure that you do things when it is required and not when it is urgent at the end of the day. We now jump into the quadrant, part of the quadrant number 3, where it is the urgent but not important. Who lives here?
The yes man.
The yes man or yes woman. Alright? And these are the persons who have difficulties in telling their friends and others no for things that may be seemingly important or urgent to them, but not so much so for you. Alright? Just as it comes up as just being a distraction. The phone calls in between you doing your homework, and your friend hears something that takes place in school and call you, and it's urgent, and you're like,
it's just a small problem.
No, those things have to be put in perspective, and it's all about, hey, Sam or Kev, whoever it is, hear what? Definitely, I want to hear about that. But coming back in the next hour or 2 when I'm finished, I have some time. And
nothing wrong with that. That's okay. But you see, we have a tendency that every time somebody calls us, yes, it's our friends, it's our family, even our own family, that you're just afraid, and you're afraid to say no. But it's okay to say no. It's not that you're not listening to them, It's just not at the time that you are doing something important
Important
for
for
you. Right?
And I think what helps with that, and I learned this from a time management course I would have done with Coach Trevor James. You know, that name always synonymous and pops up every now and again. It's having a clearly identified schedule that the persons who are closest to you are fully aware of, especially your parents. So they know between the hours of 4 to 6 p.m. you're doing your homework. They will be mindful not to call it or interrupt you to do chores, like take out the rubbish or wash the wares, because they are fully aware. You know, the chart is there for everyone to see. Hey, you know, little Natasha, you know, is studying between these 2 hours, so I will not disturb them. So that is how you help yourself create clear boundaries and help with this yes man, yes woman, or yes person syndrome. Yeah, so with the wise, you got it here first. Right, and we are now into quadrant number 4, or section number 4, which is not urgent and not important. Now, there are plenty of us who reside here. And it happens because it becomes a habit. And that is why we are here. We are here to help break that habit. Who resides in quadrant number 4, Chris?
The slacker. Call it as you see it. The slacker.
Yeah, it's real. Yep. The slacker lives here. The slacker thrives in this space.
Not lives, yeah.
No, well, in that quadrant. Yes. That part of the quadrant.
In the book. In the book.
Thanks for that clarification. Yes, that the slacker lives in that particular quadrant, you know, in the book. And it's a space where persons always find themselves doing non-urgent things and that are not important. Watching TV, always on your phone. You understand? Video games.
The latest thing right about now that's taking our children's minds.
Social media, TikTok, you know, IG, you name it, Facebook,
just the personal time
Twitter,
just
depending on where you are. It could be so many things that you have to consider. But this space, of course, cannot be where most of your life revolves around. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? You're a slacker. And trust me, it doesn't help you any bit. That 13-hour clock evaporates. There's no 13-hour clock. In fact, your clock might seem as though it always have 6 hours, or probably even less, 10 hours. Okay, then, that 6 hours might be a little exaggerating. You're always operating at a 10-hour clock because you never could find time to do anything important. Yeah, so, you know, kids, you know, who are going into the teenage years and then going to turn into adults.
And I would say that I think this book is not just for only teenagers alone.
No.
I feel it have some adults still
Definitely
developing this frame of mind that's being a slacker. You know, they're not taking their work seriously. You know, spending a lot of time on phone, social media, you know, liming,
partying, liming. Those are, I mean, and then that's a conversation we could have with adults face to face. But you're right. This book doesn't deal directly with just teens alone, because at the end of the day, adults can learn. Because I always understand that you cannot give what you don't have. So adults who are going to, in themselves, either have kids already or one day will have kids. They want to be aware of these things so that they can pass on this sort of information.
Because at the end of the day, we have to learn by example. We want them to follow exactly what the books say. But then we in particular, what I mean follow it.
Not exactly, but at least be aware and take pieces of the, you know, what works.
But we in ourselves doing something other than what we want them to learn. Correct. And they have to learn by example. So we in ourselves, they have to look up to us.
Correct.
Be the better version of us.
Correct.
Right?
And they could only do that if we are, you know, showing or we are carrying out some of these particular habits, and they could see it in us. Makes it easier for them to follow. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming and joining with us for part 1 of the 7 habits of highly effective teens.
Right?
All right.
Continue to follow us, like and subscribe.
Like
if you
and
want to
subscribe.
see more of this video, because it's just the beginning of something greater to come.
What's the goal? 10,000. 10,000. Remember,
And
you
we're
go
gonna make it.
first.
We're gonna
Of
make
course.
it. So again, thank you, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye bye. See you next episode.